We're back. We are
back.
back. Episode 3. You know, we're going to be diving into the physical today, which it was funny. A few episodes ago, we talked about Ronnie Coleman.
Yep.
And the bodybuilder. So this last weekend, there was this historic. I know you're like in all the trends, so you probably know this. But a famous UFC fighter. So opposite from bodybuilding. I mean, very aesthetic, but more performance driven. So Saturday, you had John Jones, who's like literally a historic figure in the fighting scene. I'm not like officially saying that we're making a statement on UFC.
Yeah.
But either way, he just dominated. So now he's gained all this weight, like healthy weight, and improved and went up a weight class. And now he's been the world champion in multiple different categories. So he's the heavyweight, the top tier, big boys, heavyweight champion of the world. So,
have you ever actually fought somebody?
You know, I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've
never been in an official fight. I think I would lose pretty bad.
Fighting is a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not pro fighting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do jiu-jitsu just in case.
Just in case.
Which is close combat. But regardless of what industry you're in, though, I think it is nice. You don't want to be a bully, but it is like a confidence building thing to know, like,
right.
If things do get physical.
Yeah, if the zombie apocalypse happens, we're ready.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this thing. Let's dive into week 3.
Week 3
of Made for More.
Yeah. And with that said, welcome back to Made for More. And we're officially in episode 3 of this season. You know, this is technically, I guess, season 2. And so if you haven't listened to the previous 2 episodes, then go back and listen to that one. The first one was kind of a high-level overview, but lots of fun there.
Yep.
And then, honestly, last week was all about the spiritual leader. Don't miss that one. Share it with friends. Go back and listen to it again. Take notes on it, because as we said last week, it's where everything starts, is the spiritual life. But with that said, we're diving into the physical, healthy leader
there's
today.
no purpose in you doing all these other things with your life, getting it all in order, and then you're dead. So
Yes.
we want you living a long life. And so I don't want to get into a theological debate, but let me just say it this way. I think you can die early. I think you can die earlier than God's plan is for your life. I think he does have it appointed unto man to die, but because we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Death rate's still 100%. But I think when you die really does matter. And so we're going to deal with you living a long life. This is not about vanity. It's about longevity.
That's
I
good.
want you really around for a long time. I want you healthy. I want you playing with your grandkids and your great-grandkids. And I want you making a difference for the world. So I put together a vision statement that a few years ago, when I was really trying to focus on what do I want to make my life about when it comes to my physical health. And I came up with this statement that I desire to be physically fit so that I can live as long as I can with as much energy as I can so that I can make the biggest difference that I can.
That's huge.
Let me say it again. I want to live as long as I can with as much energy as I can so that I'm making the biggest difference that I can. And so we know that many of you guys are listening, and guys and girls are listening from lots of different backgrounds, lots of different body types and upbringing, and we're not here to body shame anybody. What I'm trying to do is to challenge you to take some steps in physically and metaphorically, take some steps into getting healthier so that you can do what God's called you to do with your life, because I want you around a long time. I think the world needs you around a long time.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
the decisions you make today determine the quality of your life tomorrow. Let me say that again. The decisions you make today are going to determine the quality of your life tomorrow.
It's so
if you
true.
want to be unhealthy, not mobile, not able to, with tons of chronic disease, then you keep living the way you're doing right now and keep eating fast food all the time. Or if you want to live a long life, then you've got to be a physically healthy leader. It's interesting to me when I do this challenge with young leaders or pastors on our staff or pastors around America, where I'll teach the 6 key things of a healthy leader. Almost always for pastors and leaders in ministry, this is the lowest hole in the bucket.
It is, yeah.
This is the area people get wrong. Probably because we go out to eat so much.
Yes.
We're always eating. We're always hanging out. We're content creators. We're always mentoring people. We're going to get coffee. And we have unhealthy habits.
We do. We have unhealthy habits. And just to look back at a little bit of what you were just saying, I heard a guy say this, that it was is transformative is that you focus on your wellness, i.e., your physical health, be physically healthy, or your illness will actually make you focus on your physical health.
Very good.
And so it's either you focus on your physical health now, or you will be demanded to later. And,
absolutely.
Which is a little scary because it's almost like a cavity, right? Like it's not a problem until it's a problem. And I feel like that's physical health.
And once it's a problem, it becomes the worst problems you deal with.
Yes.
And a lot of it is not fixable. The good news is most people listening to this right now are younger or are in a place where you can, I'll say it this way, change before you have to change.
Yes. That's
so
good.
Change before your body demands that you have to change. The two leading causes of death in America, which was shocking to me, both of them were avoidable. One of them is smoking, which if you're smoking, please stop. That's a terrible habit. But the second leading cause of death in America today is obesity.
Wow.
And so, again, I know there's different body types. I know there's different, upbringing. There's a lot of issues when it comes to this. But I want to make sure you're taking the steps that you need to take to get healthy. Because what is the result of that? Obesity, you get heart disease, you get stroke, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, joint disorders, clinical depression, some types of cancer. There's so much happening in that. And the highest percentage we've ever had on record of Americans obese is right now.
Wow.
42% of Americans are obese. And I wanted to put that in perspective because other Western leading countries in the world today, you got Italy, Japan, South Korea, their obesity rate is under 10%.
Wow.
So we've got a massive issue. There was a doctor in Utah that wrote, and he did a whole study, and he says that 88% of Americans are metabolically unfit. I want to get you to get that. 88%. So he says there's only about 12% of Americans. Now, go to the mall, look around, and you'll realize that's true.
Yeah.
Like, it is true. You got 88% of Americans are metabolically unfit. And he comes down to the fact of, listen, it's simply that our diet and our lifestyle, we're not just not moving enough.
Yeah.
So we have sedentary lifestyles, and the problem with it is we've got to fix it because it's going to keep Christians from doing what we're called to do, which is to live a long, healthy, productive life. Now, let me give you our problem with this.
Yes.
The problem with this is when people want to get physically healthy, they focus on goals.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a goal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to, run a marathon. I'm going to, I'm going to get a six-pack by summer. I mean, that's the goal. Ready? Which, by the way, I heard that you're more likely to become a multimillionaire in your life than you are to get a six-pack once in your life. So that's interesting right there. So I'll never be either. But that's amazing. So
leads you to the other type of
very good. But the problem with it is you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Yes.
I don't want our listeners to focus on the goal, even though I do think it's good to have goals.
Set goals. Yes, I think
great
people
to set
need
goals.
To hear that. Yeah.
Goals won't help you. Habits help you.
Yes.
Healthy habits will help produce your goals.
And I think what's good for people to hear is that we are habitual.
We are.
So it's not a matter of like, oh, you need to become a person with habits. You actually,
have habits.
All of us have habits.
Yep.
So it is changing, and I think the key word there is healthy habits, which I'm doing. Like it's sanctification, right? It's a work in progress. But I think that's huge to focus on habit, set goals, like have a target to aim at. But the goals are only going to habits deliver the vision of those goals.
They do. I've heard it said this way: we have uphill hopes, but downhill habits.
That's really good.
And that is our world: uphill hopes, downhill habits. Because you're right. We have habits.
Yeah.
They're just really unhealthy in our life. So
let's give some examples.
Yeah. I mean, we've all got habits. I have a habit of eating fast food. I have a habit of scrolling on my phone.
Yeah.
We have terrible habits. We're addicted. We're habitually eating sugar all the time. We've got bad habits. So we just got to change them. You don't overcome bad habits by hoping that you get your body changes. You actually overcome habit with habit.
That's good.
This is a game changer. You overcome habit with habit. You don't remove a habit, you replace the habit.
That's good.
So you've got to change your perspective because I've tried to remove bad habits in my life, but if you don't replace it, you'll fill that void with something else. So we've done fast. We do fast every year in our church. And if you've ever fasted before, you know how easy this is to do, because what you'll do is you will remove a food from your life or a technology from your life or something from your life. And what you end up doing, if you don't replace it with prayer, that's the whole purpose of fasting. You remove something from the world to replace it with prayer. What I found myself is I would remove something and then I would replace it with something just as destructive.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm not eating sugar for of one of these. Oh my gosh, I was a youth pastor. I remember I'm like, I'm not going to eat meat and no sugar and no meat for 21 days. I found myself through the Taco Bell drive-through 1 or 2 times a day getting cheese burritos.
Cheese and bean, yeah.
Yeah, beans and cheese.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there going, I replaced a terrible habit with a terrible habit.
It's actually not good, yeah.
So we got to fix these things with habits, with really healthy habits. And we've talked about spiritual habits. I talked about last week with your weekly time with God, your daily time with God, a weekly time in church, and seasonal Sabbaths. But you need some physical habits in your life.
Yes, absolutely. And I do think just, again, not thinking of trying to overcorrect too quickly.
Yep.
It's the idea of, so some of the listeners, they're on track. Like you guys should be teaching this particular episode, right? There's so many people that we're in Tampa Bay and health is like a very optimized thing. I mean, so the health world has kind of changed over the course of the years. So I know a lot of listeners are already doing that. But let's say for the listeners that are maybe wanting to kind of bring some value to this area, they want a better quality of life. They're not looking at competing in the Ronnie Coleman bodybuilding show,
right?
But they want to improve per your vision, have longevity, have wholeness, have health. I think breaking it down a little, and I know we're going to give them some steps, but I think just for the idea to know that, like, you can't expect for some of you that are, in your 30s or maybe 40s, 50s plus, that you can't correct decades of bad habits overnight.
Right.
Because the reason why I think it's important for us to mention that is because if I don't see, we live in an instantaneous world. And so if I don't see results pretty quickly, then I'll retract back. And
absolutely,
and almost give up.
Yeah. Okay. So the book that's the game changer on this, and I know you recommend it to everybody. It helped my life a lot. Was Atomic Habits.
Yes.
And so he talks about the trigger, the idea that you've got to recognize the 2 things that have helped me with habits is recognizing the trigger. What is that thing that's triggering me to do something bad? Because we actually have really good things that trigger us. Like I wake up in the morning. And the first thing I do is brush my teeth. It's just like I just do it because it's a trigger in my mind. I'm like, I feel gross. I'll brush my teeth.
Yeah,
it's a trigger that you have. So it's triggers in people. Those are 2 things that have helped me a lot in my life. I got triggers that I recognize what's a bad habit. So I'm bored and I want to snack. Well, I realize that's a trigger for me. Like I just get bored.
No, that's good.
And then when I get this thing, I just want to snack. So you got to recognize what your trigger is, and then you got to have some people in your life that'll help you. So we're going to give you some real practical habits that you need to apply to your life physically, but I would encourage you to do it with some people.
Yeah.
We just finished 6 weeks of a staff health challenge. Now, we did pretty good. We both did really good.
Yeah.
You lost a bunch of weight. I got healthier. We did a lot. You didn't have a bunch of weight to lose.
No, I'm still losing a lot too.
You're doing a great job, Bobby. But with that, it's remarkable the accountability of every day we send each other a text.
Yeah, for sure.
Like every day. Did you get your steps in? How was your diet?
Yeah.
How many workouts did you get in today?
Yes.
Did you eat some sweets? And there was some days. I mean, I was the worst one in my group, even though I worked out a lot. Mm-hmm. Hey, bombed the diet today. Sorry.
Yeah, bombed it. Yeah.
But that's normal.
Yes.
It's steps in the right direction, figuring out what do we need to do to create some habits. And that helped us because even yesterday we sat down and as a team, we were talking, me, you, and what the other guy that was on our team. And we talked, we're like, how do we continue living healthy and continue this because we feel good?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the accountability factor is huge. And the
Massive.
accountability almost helps us recognize the triggers.
Yep.
Like we're not here to shame anyone, right?
Yep.
But it is good. There is a, just like in the spiritual walk with Christ, it's like people will help us. The right people will help us get better.
That is true. And the wrong people will take you down a pit.
Yes.
That is destructive. So you mentioned something that I want to hit on that is so crucial. You didn't get in this overnight, and you're not going to get out of it overnight.
Correct.
So other than having massive surgery, you can't get physically fit in a day.
Correct.
But you can get fit daily.
That's
and I want
really
you to
good.
get this. You're not going to achieve this in a day, but you will achieve it daily.
So good.
So I'm going to give you 3 daily habits that'll help your life, to help you create a physically healthy lifestyle, and I want you to understand them. The first one is the steps habit. We started this year, and it was shocking. We challenged our staff to take 8,000 steps a day. And we actually had staff members push back and go, that is totally bizarre. That is not possible. That's miles of walking. And it's shocking because when we look at the stats, I saw a Mayo Clinic stat on this that said that the average American walks 3,000 to 4,000 steps a day, which is roughly about 1.5 to 2 miles. But the goal, this is Mayo Clinic, so this isn't some random backwoods doctor trying to sell it. Mayo Clinic says the goal of every American should be 10,000 steps a day. But the problem with us is we live sedentary, just really, we don't move.
We're sitting down. We're driving.
We're sitting.
At a desk.
We're driving. We're on social media, and we've got to learn how to walk. It was shocking when I started this steps challenge, how many staff members were texting and writing on our Slack channels and stuff about how, man, it's 10 o'clock at night and I was 2,000 steps short. Went on a 30-minute walk and tried to get my steps in.
Yeah.
How crucial it is that you understand that you've got to move every day.
Yes, and the steps are a good starting point for anyone, whether you're really fit or you're trying to get fit daily. And by the way, there's all the watches. I'm a big fan of Garmin. I know Pastor Aaron has Whoop.
I'm the Whoop guy.
And so there's all these things, but you don't need anything fancy to track your steps. If you're an iPhone if you're not an iPhone user, that's a different conversation.
That's another issue,
which we won't shame you today. But your iPhone's actually already tracking you.
Yep.
Like, so you can search fitness or health, depending on how you have your settings set up, and it's actually already been tracking your steps. And I think it'd be some good homework because people would be shocked. I mean, the challenge, which, especially whenever I was in a running season of the marathon, you hit those steps regardless. I mean, you just blow past them. But if you're not a runner, you have to be intentional about your steps.
You have to.
And it is such a good gauge to go like, man, I'm hitting them. I'm hitting the steps. I'm looking at them, walking the dog. I had multiple nights where again, and there's some of that performance thing in my personality of like, I'm going to hit the steps. But also now after the fitness challenge, just a part of a healthy lifestyle, I have a dog, and man, I would take more extensive walks and just hit those steps.
Yep.
So I think the steps is a good thing to actually monitor, regardless of if you're wanting to be a high performing athlete, like on a more fitness base, or if you're just trying to get fit daily, like you said. That the steps is a great starting point, but actually track it because the mental, like analyzing that mentally, we don't actually know. And I was shocked. I had a couple days that I was like, how did I only hit 2,000 steps?
Easily.
It's weird.
So my wife, and she's awesome, and she'll run, she'll do different stuff, but she's homeschools our 5 kids. So it's a lot of work. So I'll sit there and I'll come home. Now you have to be careful about this, but I'd come home and go, hey, did you work out today? That's never a good conversation to have between couples. But once I'll ask her, like, hey, did you run today or did you do something? Oh, she's like, no, I'm exhausted. I've been with the kids, all day. And I was like, well, did you get out for a walk? Did you move at all? And so she's like, well, I've been running around the house. But when you pull up the steps, it's 1,500 steps. And so what we started as a family is we just a daily walk. I think every family needs 30 minutes. And what it turned out to be is an incredible bonding time for us to just talk as a family.
That's good.
So we walk as a family for 30 minutes, helps me get my steps in, helps her get her steps in. get a challenge to just get outside every day. I'm telling you, with all the emotional and mental battles that people are facing, get some sunshine.
Yeah.
I'm all about walking on the treadmill, get outside, walk in a community.
That's so good.
And I think it'll help your life. Here's your second habit that I just think everybody can get into and everybody needs to get into is the workout habit.
Yes.
And you need to find something that gets your heart rate up, that think health, not beach body.
Yeah.
All right, everybody wants to think beach body. How do I look good, in front of everybody else? And I want you thinking health. I want you thinking heart rate. I want you thinking, how do you get to a place where you can run up a flight of stairs and you're not out of breath?
That's good. No,
It's very crucial. But if we're talking about a healthy leader, you need to find a workout thing that works for you.
Yes.
And there's a million of them out there, but find what works for you.
Yes, and I think this has been something that I've watched my own life as well as other people, is that don't compare. There's a lot of maybe you're listening and that's not everyone listening, but I would say there's a good percentage of us that we just naturally, it's just how we're wired. We want to compare, find the best practice. You're a big CrossFit guy. I like to do CrossFit about once or twice a week. I don't like to do it every day. But it depends when you get into the CrossFit world who's really the champ. I am like Rich Froning is the champ, even though Matt Frazier
is way more of the champ. No, go ahead.
Anyway, but it would be easy. He's a stud.
Yep.
About my height, about my age. It would be easy to go. But he has been training diligently. For me to try to become a Rich Froning is unattainable for me right now. And so can I still work out? And I think that's the big thing, is we're talking about principles here.
Yep.
Is that to find something where I think it's challenging and it's stretching, but it's not like where, I work out. It's almost like the quiet time idea. Yeah. Don't have this, the big moment with God and then not pray again for a week or two. So don't work out to where it's like, man, I had a big workout about twice to 3-4 times a month. It's like try to work out, do something that's scalable, sustainable.
One of our staff members, he's so great. He's so blunt. I remember I took him to India with, I think you might have been on the trip. A bunch of us were on this trip. And this guy, Brandon, who I love to death, we were on this trip and if you go on a mission trip with me, you travel with me, one of the things is we're going to pray together every day and we're going to work out every day. That's just what we do on all these trips. And so we wake up one morning and we go to work out and he doesn't show up. And so I said, Brandon, and he's going to listen to this. He's going to be upset. I've said it. But I said, Brandon, why aren't you going to do this? He goes, Aaron, I don't work out. I'm not going to work out on this trip, be sore the whole time, and then go back to home and never work out again. He goes, it's pointless. And I actually agreed with him. I'm sitting there going, what's the purpose of you doing something once a year? It doesn't work. Here's the key. Ready? Successful people do consistently what normal people do occasionally.
That is so good.
Successful people do consistently what normal people do occasionally. So I honor Brandon that he recognized that, listen, that's not an area of my life I'm going to be ultra successful in. He's successful in a lot of other areas. But my challenge for you is find something in your life that you can be consistent about when it comes to physical fitness. So if it's a treadmill at your house, I think everybody and their mom bought a bike, one of those exercise bikes that now are really good deals online because everybody kind of sold theirs.
They're really great clothes dryers.
You hang your clothes on them. And they're just, we've seen that happen many times. We got one at our house too, so we fell victim to that one.
Yeah.
But you find what works for you. Some people love, Orange Theory, or some people love the big gym. What do they call them? The
Globo Gym.
Globo Gym, whatever.
It's like the Crunch and EOS. And all that.
That's an interesting world there. But I love CrossFit. But my thing is it's not about the intensity. It's about the consistency.
That's really good.
Stop focusing on intensity. Don't sit there and go, I have to lay it all out in the field. I'd rather you go 30 minutes 5 times a day than an hour or 2 once a week. Yeah. Because just put the little bit in every single day.
That's so good.
Paul challenges us with this. He's writing to his spiritual son, Timothy, and he says, physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better. Now, that's why spiritual leadership was our first one. But I want you to see the first part of that passage. What does he say? Physical training is good. So as a Christian, you should be physically training. Walk on the treadmill, run, do a cycling class, do something that gets you physically fit. So we talked about the steps habit. We talked about the workout habit. And we've got one more that I want you to understand today that is so crucial when it comes to your physical health. And that is making sure and how to monitor what I put into my body.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. It's like the fuel that goes in determines the performance of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's the same with your body. So let me tell you, you could find a million fad diets out there. I would challenge you, stay away from the fad diets. Just look at what is simple, clean eating. Even that phrase clean eating is so
It is
messed up.
It's like,
Like but the idea, and everybody's got an agenda behind it, and I don't know who's paying to put the little stickers on the side of every little thing that this is grass-fed versus this is like manicured. I don't know all those things. But I'll tell you, it's better than going through the drive-thru. It's better than just eating more and more and more bread.
For sure.
So find a healthy food habit. So when I look at my physical fitness in life, I can't do everything. I can't fix everything. But those three things, I can walk 10,000 steps a day, a goal of hitting 10,000 steps a day. I can work out a minimum of 30 minutes. Like I'm going to move as at least 5 times a week, but I'm going to try to work out every day if possible. And then I'm just going to eat healthy. I'm going to put good things into my body. You ever remember that phrase growing up? And it's garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So GIGO, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And it's this whole idea. You put junk in, you're going to get junk out. And if you feel sluggish, you feel bad, take care of the body God has given you.
Yes, and I think I think those are super practical for regardless of where you're at in your physically healthy leadership journey. That this applies to all of us. And I think just a reminder, get the steps in, get the workout in, eat good food, whatever that means. I know we're not any nutritionists here.
We're not nutritionists.
And but I think just, we know that there's good decisions. And I think I want to hit on one thing before we close, and that is personality. I don't want to box people in, but just very transparently, my personality lends itself to if I can't be if I can't do it right, I'm not going to do it at all.
Right.
And I'm learning the process of just like progress over perfection. So it's like I'm the reality is I have 2 young kids, lifestyle of work and all that stuff that you just explained. Like I'm not going to make every meal I eat. Yep. Like that's just not the reality I know some of you guys might be in that reality. That's not my reality. So find something that's scalable, find something that's sustainable, and remember the why is that God has a purpose for each of us. And that purpose is that, just as Jeremiah promises us, that he has so much for us, that he's given us a hope and a future.
And a future.
And so be healthy because God's called us to big things and he needs us to be a part of that. He needs us to be healthy.
Because he wants you to live as long as you can with as much energy as you can so you can make the biggest difference as you can. And you can do this. Create some healthy habits. Let you live a long life.
Amen. You're made for more.